Welcome back, Dragons. This is Mr. Jimerson here, the principal. Excited to have you join me this evening. If you haven't had an opportunity to watch the video that Mr. Kent Wolford, the district superintendent, and the community superintendent, Melissa Hayes, and Dr. Hussein, the chief of staff, did, I would highly encourage you watch that. This is more of a supplemental video to help you get a better understanding of what it's going to look like here at Alconbury. And so those of you that are joining me here to be able to watch this, you've elected the brick and mortar coming back to school, so thank you for that. We do have some challenging times ahead, and there's lots of things going on, and there's some here at Alconbury, we've done an amazing job in making sure that we're following guidelines. So I want to go over and answer some of the questions that you guys have. And so as we move in kind of our new normal, many of you have been participating with the National Honor Society in our online kind of get to know Alco. It's been fantastic, and so we've got a chance to meet you, and you've got a chance to meet some new students. So we're excited. They're excited to have you here, part of us. So the teachers are really excited. It's been a long time since we've seen each other. And I know that as we move into kind of this new normal, there are going to be some things that are going to be changing. And so just need you to continue to be patient with that, and just follow some of the guidance. Follow the guidance that I'm going to be talking about here. And so one of the things we'll be looking for an email coming out is that we are going to be doing some new student orientations. They're going to be one-on-one, and so we're going to pair you up with one of our student council and NHS folks and do just a VIP tour with just you and your family. So you're going to get an opportunity to be able to walk through Alconbury and just to get a better sense of what it's going to be like on that first day. And so we're excited that we're going to be able to offer that piece. And so one of the questions that we've had is that what's the school supply going to be? And so just to let you guys know, we're not going to be using lockers when we come back, and we're gonna relook at that at the quarter. And but right now, students can use backpacks, and we encourage them to have backpacks. But however, the kind of the larger backpacks with like wheels on them, we want to steer away from those when all possible. And so students, just make sure within your backpacks you just have essential items, and you just take your items for today's class out, and make sure that you're replenishing them and making sure that your things that you bring to school are clean. And so with that also, we will be handing out these when you get here on the first day. What we have for you is we have a cloth face covering that we've purchased for you. We actually purchased 2 for each student, but we're going to start off by giving each one of you one in this little plastic bag. We also have an agenda that we have here for you, and also one pencil. We also have some items here and some things, good sanitation practices that we'll be giving to you. And so that's what that is going to look like. And so a couple other items, 3-ring binder, like a ruler, some things along those lines. Also pencils, definitely key for the supply list. And so that's what we have for you for that. There's been some questions about a drop-off, and so I know the elementary school is doing a drop-off, and so we encourage you to come to school as late as possible, but on time. And so get here around 8:10 to the best possible. And so for the buses, we encourage you to, parents, if you can bring your child to school with your own transportation, we encourage you to do so. For some reason, if you can't, then get on the bus. We're going to be putting together a video through our transportation office that goes over kind of the safety of the bus and kind of a deeper look on what the buses are going to look like. So be looking out for that. And so we're going to be showing that to students on the first day, but also I'll be able to get that out and share that with you. Share that with you prior to the first day of school, so you kind of know what to expect. So expect that later on, and so try to get here as 8:10 as much as possible. We're also going to be using our exterior doors as much as possible. So for those of you that have been here, downstairs here in the main building, we do have some entrances. And so as you come into school, if the first class that you have is like in the sixth or in the middle school kind of hallway, or you have culinary, you'll be able to use those exterior exits to be able to get into the school rather than going in our main entrances. So we're putting these things into place to be able to minimize the interactions that we have with students. And so that's one of the things that we're doing. And so in the annex, obviously, you'll be able to walk directly into classes, and we actually encourage that. So that's what that's going to look like at the beginning of the day. Also, one of the questions that we got is that are students allowed to wear face shields? Of course, if you've purchased those out of your own money and you want to bring those face shields, that's fantastic, but they just do not replace a cloth face covering. So if your child wants to wear those to school, we would definitely be okay with that. And so how will student workstations be cleaned? Great question. So we have purchased a significant amount of PPE, and so we have tons of gloves and hand sanitizer and wipes and all that kind of stuff. So as the student comes into the school, they'll be afforded hand sanitizer, clean, so on and so forth. As you finish the class, they'll be able to wipe down their workstation. And then as they transition to their next class, they'll also have the opportunity to re-sanitize if they would like. But all students will be required to clean their own workstation when they're finished with it, when they transition to the next class. And so the high-touch items, we also have, those will be continuously cleaned throughout the day, and those are things like door handles and whatnot. Those routine things will be cleaned much more frequently. And so what will classroom transitions look like? And so this kind of goes a little bit into the sanitizing. So we've increased the amount of time that students will have to be able to transition from class to class. So the bell will go off. The bell will go off. Middle schoolers start sanitizing their area. Once the student is finished, they're allowed to then transition to the next class. When they transition to class, they stay to the right. We have markers and social distancing markers within all of the hallways. And as they're going down the hall or going down the stairs or going up the stairs, they need to stay to the right. And we have markers for all of those things. And so the bell goes off, sanitize, going out into the hallways. It kind of creates more of a trickle effect of people going into the hallways. A few minutes later, the bell will ring again. At that time, the high schoolers will start sanitizing and then also make their way. We do have some blended classes, like some of our foreign languages, where there's high school and middle school. So if you're a teacher or you're a student, that you're in a blended class and that first bell goes off, the entire class then would go and start sanitizing and make their way out. So if you're a high schooler and you transition, then obviously you would go to the next class period, and as soon as the bell rings, you would then head on into that class. And so that's how the transitions are going to work. And so lunch is going to look a little different. We've made an additional lunch. We've also, as we kind of transition through these times, there are things that we've put into place to maintain social distancing. So currently, high schoolers will not be able to go off campus for lunch, and we're going to relook at that at quarter, or depending on how things go, and maybe even look at maybe possibly seniors going out to get lunch on certain days or whatnot. But to start off the year, everybody's going to be here on campus. And so there will be grab and go lunches. So high schoolers, if you would like to purchase lunch from AFES, you will be able to do that. Currently at this time, the high schoolers, you'll eat first. So what will happen is they'll go to the cafeteria, they'll get their lunches. From there, we will continue to have the media center open to eat, and we have designated areas where you can see where students can sit through social distancing. We also have the gym that will be open for high schoolers. We have the bleachers out with social distancing, and we anticipate that being somewhat popular because it allows people, groups of students to be able to communicate with each other while still being socially distant and getting the 2 meters. And so we'll be opening that up. Lunch will be around 40 minutes. From there, they'll transition. Middle schoolers will have lunch inside the cafeteria and also inside the gym also. And so that'll be sanitized between times. And so that's what lunch is going to look like. So next we have is, what is PE class going to look like in sports? So we will be offering some sports. Those have come out, cheerleading, cross country, and individual tennis, and there's some European athletic games, and we'll be sending some more information about that out, and also golf. But those go by student interest, and so if we don't have enough students that are interested in these things, obviously we would not offer those things. But currently, the locker rooms will be closed, and so guidance continues to kind of get updated regularly, and so currently at this time, locker rooms will be closed. And so the PE classes will be going outside to the greatest extent possible. Look for the classes to possibly be in classrooms a little bit more and working on some of those knowledge things, and then being able to implement them as the weather is okay outside, to be able to go outside and be able to do some of those things. And so PE is going to look a little different. Band is going to look a little bit different also. So currently, as of today, the like woodwinds and brass, like things that you blow through, will not be allowed to be able to be played in school. And so we're not getting rid of band. Again, we're not getting rid of band, but it's going to move more to the music theory. And Mr. Clausen, our band teacher, that always does a fantastic job. He'll be working with students and creating an experience that they can have here that is authentic and rich also. And so things like percussion, those things, will continue as usual, but however, they won't be sharing things like sticks and whatnot. And then we offer guitar. Maybe that might grow, but we do offer guitar, and obviously that'll be able to be played inside. And so more info to come out about that as we get those things, and Mr. Clausen can reach out and just kind of give you a better understanding of what that's going to look like. So science labs too, we have ample materials to be able, to the greatest extent possible, keep students from sharing those things. And most of our average class size, definitely in the high school, is right around that 10. Our middle school classes are around 15 to 17, something like that. And so within our science classes and whatnot, we definitely have tons of room to be able to spread out and socially distance and whatnot, and even in our regular classes. And so look for, and even in art class, creating, Miss Mitchell is working with to develop some activities where kids don't share stuff also. So that'll be pretty consistent from science to the art stuff. Will there be weightlifting? And so there's some guidelines that are coming out, and currently there's things that as long as they don't require a spotter. And so those things are continuing to be updated, but whenever students are using equipment, they'll be required to sanitize and wipe those things down, and look for, as we develop and we do kind of the weightlifting thing, to be able to create some stations in which students stay in these certain stations to work on their physical fitness. And so less moving of those things. And so that kind of moves into our clubs a little bit. Are we going to have after school clubs? What's that going to look like? So we are going to have after school clubs. After school clubs are student driven. And so if students would like us to be able to offer something, and they follow the guidelines that we have, and a teacher wants to be able to sponsor, we can offer some things like that. And so we're looking at those things. There's some guidance that's still coming out in terms of maintaining social distancing and how all of those things going to work together. But we will be doing after school activities. But look for more information to be able to be coming out about how those things will work and how often we'll leverage either the virtual piece or in the in-person. So if you have ideas as we kind of go into this new normal piece, kind of communicate those things with us. And so if we can think outside the box and create something that we haven't done before, then we can definitely do that. With that, our activity bus, we're looking at the need for our activity buses right now. Our activity buses aren't utilized a whole lot last year, and so with the decrease of like kind of the larger sports like football and volleyball right now, we're just going to look at student interest and if we would have riders and retake a look at that. So. There's been some questions about the COVID-19 and if somebody's having symptoms. And so I have Sergeant Gordon that he joined me today, and we made a short video. And so he's got some things he would like to share with you now.
Hello, I'm Staff Sergeant Gordon. I work here at the Field Center, Alconbury Medical Clinic Health Office. And today I'm going to talk to you about some issues or some concerns that parents may have with their children start coming back to school in terms of like COVID symptoms, what the testing, when do we test, and then some sanitation practices, guidance on travel, and I'll give our phone number as well. So the first thing I want to talk about is if you're a TRICARE beneficiary, then please feel free, make sure you call the medical group so that way we can see if you need to be scheduled for testing. If you are not a TRICARE beneficiary, then you would just work through your healthcare provider on the economy or through your GP. The next thing I want to talk to you about is what the signs and symptoms are to be aware of before you make a determination whether to call the public health office or to call your GP. Okay? So for the first set of symptoms, any one of these three, you should immediately make sure that you call the medical group at Alconbury or go through the MHS. And that's going to be cough, shortness of breath, and difficulty breathing. So any one of those. The next set is going to be any two of these in combination or with the first three I just mentioned. So it's going to be fever, chills, body aches, sore throat, headache, or loss of taste or smell. So any of those combinations, those last ones I mentioned, you also need to contact your GP, or you need to contact your public health office here at Alconbury. Some other things that we might want to think about are sanitation practices at home. So as far as what you should be cleaning, you definitely make sure you're cleaning your high-touch surfaces as often as possible. So that's going to be any type of handles, like faucet handles, doorknobs, fridge handles, as well as like countertops, remotes, controllers, and things of that nature. So anything that's being touched like at home. You also want to make sure that you know what the contact times are for the actual product that you're using to clean. So for an example, Clorox wipes have a 10-second contact time. And basically what that means, the manufacturer is saying, if you keep this product or this item wet, this surface wet with this product for 10 seconds, then it's disinfected. So make sure you know what that is for other items, because other items have longer contact times. Some are upwards of a minute, 2 minutes, 3 and 4 minutes long. But just make sure you really know, so that way you can make sure you're disinfecting the products appropriately. For hand sanitizer, if you're going to purchase it for use at home, make sure it's 60% alcohol or higher strength for it to be considered to be effective versus coronavirus. And then for travel guidance, you will have some students whose parents may have gone home for emergency leave to the States. Maybe they're coming back from a deployment, or they're coming from an area on a TDY that is not on the UK exemption list for travel. In cases like that, the actual member themselves are on restricted movement due to travel, but because they're not restricted movement due to any signs or symptoms that they may be having, coming in contact with someone that they've known to be suspected or positive for COVID, and they haven't been notified by any other agency that they're suspected of being come in contact with someone with COVID, they're the only person in their home that is on restriction of movement. Because the risk of the family and everyone else is low, the family members are allowed to go to the commissary, the children are allowed to go to school or the youth center, and they're allowed to continue their daily activities in their daily lives. The only person on the restriction of movement for those 14 days is the actual member. Now, if the family members begin to have symptoms, then they as well would go on to a restriction of movement. And that's pretty much it for us. The phone number at our office here in Alconbury is going to be 268-4000. So that's 268-4000. If you want to call from the cell phone, it's 01480-844000. It's 01480-844000.
Okay, and Stacy Lee, our school liaison officer, she's been doing a fantastic job for us and just kind of being that link between us and public health and our new commander, Colonel Martin. And so she's got a couple things she would like to say to you too.
Hi, Dragon Community. My name is Stacy Lee. I am the school liaison for RAF Alconbury and Molesworth. I am here just to say hello and welcome you back to the new school year. As a side note, I don't know if you all are familiar with my services. I'm sure I've met most of you. If not, again, welcome. But I'm here to also help with the deployment support, whether you're deploying to a new location, TDY, or if you're transitioning to a new place. Whether it's PCSing back to the States or another location, definitely reach out to our office. We help to facilitate communication between here and during the installation. One thing I want to make sure our whole community knows is that as far as my office, we kind of help everybody. So it doesn't matter if you are active duty, if you're a civilian or contractor, we can help to address questions or concerns, provide additional resources, or refer you to places that you do need information. I help with anything related essentially to K-12 education for the base. So if you need anything, have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to my office. I can be reached at 268-3232 or via commercial 01480-3232.
So that's just about all that we have for you guys. So we're busy working with teachers right now to take away some of the excess furniture that are in some of the classrooms, and so to help spread out the desks and whatnot. And some of the classrooms that use kind of larger desks that could make shapes, we've put smaller desks in there to be able to maximize kind of social distancing, and so. So that's really what we have. And so as you continue to have questions, as a supplemental piece, I would highly suggest that you take that you peruse this document here. It's the DODEA COVID-19 Operational Guidelines and Protocols for Schools. This one is dated July 31st, 2020. So this goes much more into depth. It's got a flow chart that for the nurses piece, and so it's got this flow chart that'll allow us to be able to kind of navigate this whole process and whatnot. And so take a look at this. It also goes into the HPCon pieces and kind of the threshold, not really the threshold, but if we would get into Charlie, then we would go into that remote learning. And for those of you that were here last year, in March, we went into that remote learning. It also goes into how long, if we did have to cancel school for however many amount of days, at what time would we start that remote learning? And if a student was out for an extended period of time, at what time or at what point would they be enrolled into the virtual school? And so there's a lot of really other specific things that go on in there. And so once again, I'd like to thank the community members that have continuously been volunteering for the past couple weeks. Your help has been instrumental in just getting us. where we need to be. We've decluttered hallways and taken away lounge kind of areas. We have in some of our spaces up in the front office. We also have like the plexiglass things that we have put up for parents. We have a new system that's in place in terms of if you want to bring stuff to school, and so we have a system that you'll be able to buzz kind of the outdoor, buzz the main door, and then we'll find your student, and then you can hand stuff directly to them and whatnot. But we want to make sure that our students are prepared to come to school, and as we kind of navigate through all of this space, it's going to look a lot different. So I know students that you want nothing more to spend time with some of your friends, and some of them you haven't seen in months. But we need to maintain our social distancing, wear our face coverings, and we all need to play our part. And so we are going to be as strict as possible. We will loosen these things as quick as we can, but as slow as we need to. And so it's important that we continue to be safe through all of these things. If you have any other questions, please send me an email. I'd be glad to answer your questions. Any other additional questions that you have. Thank you for joining me, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.